Joining us now is Sue-Ann Levy. You know her, reporter columnist for the Toronto Sun, and she's, she has a reputation for being, let's call it feisty, right, Sue-Ann? When it comes to politicians and when it comes to fighting for the underdog, amongst other things. So welcome.
Thank you very much. I would say irreverent as well.
Okay, irreverent and feisty.
That's probably one of the most polite words.
Yeah.
Now, you have authored hundreds of stories and columns, but now you've authored a hardcover memoir called Underdog: Confessions of a Right-Wing Gay Jewish Muckraker.
Quite the title!
I mean, who could walk past that in a bookstore? Nobody.
Well, no, and that's what I'm told. Together with the very colorful title, shall we say, with newsprint backgrounds.
So what made you decide to turn the camera on yourself, so to speak?
Well, I had been pushed to do a book. I can thank my wife for this 3-year journey of hard work, and another friend. And originally it was going to be about City Hall. Mm-hmm. And when I sat down with a couple of publishers, they said, really, your story is far more interesting than the story of City Hall, the insides out. And your story about your journey from having no voice whatsoever to being a champion of the underdog, being an underdog myself, to being a champion of the underdog.
What do you mean by having no voice?
Well, I grew up being an outsider. I was labeled very early an outsider, and I was bullied when I was younger. And then, lo and behold, I went to journalism school, and I was assaulted and left for dead. My last year.
Assaulted?
No, not sexually, but beat within an inch of my life. What saved me is I passed out, and my assailant thought he had murdered me, and lucky for me. And when I came to, I landed up in hospital. So that was the first time. And then the second time, who says lightning doesn't strike twice, I was assaulted again in 2005, this time sexually, in my own condo in Yorkville. And And
did you report those?
Yes. The first time the assailant was never caught. I say in the book that I think the Ottawa police, probably not the best at investigating it, the best of times, didn't do the job, and I kind of buried it under the carpet and tried to go on with my life, lived with the trauma for 25 years until I was assaulted again. The second time, I did get my day in court. My assailant pled guilty to sexual assault. He's listed on the National Sex Offenders Registry. And lo and behold, at the end of the court case, and this is despite all the efforts by the police and the justice system to throw it out of court, not let me get my day in court, his mother came up and apologized to me and said that she felt her son was always a little bit off, and she thanked me for bringing him to court.
So did living through the Jian Ghomeshi, the Bill Cosby, has that brought things back for you?
It truly did. And I write about that in the book. It truly did, because you are forced to relive those sort of scenarios every time they happen, and they're so public. And the poor, as much as Juan Ghomeshi got off, and he had a very good lawyer, and funnily enough, I met her in the drugstore a couple of weeks ago and told her she had done a good job. But I believe the assailants I believe the victims that this did happen, because to put yourself out like that and to go through this very public trial, I don't believe for a minute that it didn't happen. Unfortunately, I don't think that the police and the Crown did a very good job of prepping them for the trial.
No.
Now, you and I have spoken, and you've said you feel that you came out from those assaults because you never really sort of faced the trauma that it caused you. Mm-hmm. But also, you lived in the closet for 20 years.
Yes, this was all going on at the same time. I can't believe I actually did my job at the Sun. I can't believe. And I write about how in the book, and people have actually, who have read it already, and it's only been out a week, have come to me and said to me, I can't believe that you actually got up, because I'm very open about the fact that I went to a psychiatrist after I was assaulted in 2005 and decided that this was the time I would come out. I was living in the closet for 20 years. And imagine, I mean, I will say, I joke about it now, I didn't sleep for 20 years with all the anxiety and the trauma that I was dealing with. And I would go to the psychiatrist every week, cry my eyes out, not knowing how I was ever going to go back to City Hall, but luckily she was just up the street at Toronto General Hospital. I'd go down to City Hall and pen a column that day. And perhaps that just kept me focused on that and not having to, be wrapped up in the trauma all day.
But you came out in a big way. You came out, if I'm right, it was on the front page. It was a front page story.
Yes, and oh my God, yes. And what triggered that was that I had lived for so many years with one foot in the closet and 1 foot in the heterosexual world, 1 foot in the homosexual world. I think I probably had deluded about half the people I work with at the Toronto Sun, and half the others suspected. And one day, just Friday before Pride Day of 2007, a columnist wrote a column about how it was so good to be gay. It was good to be gay, that, we had it all, that it was trendy to be gay. And I looked at it, and I was sitting at the breakfast table. By then, Denise and I were living together, shamelessly in sin. And I looked at it and I said, oh my God, I started to cry. And I said, he has no idea what I've lived through. Met my editor that afternoon and said, I want to do something. He said, will you do something for Pride Day? This was Friday. Pride Day was Sunday. And often these impulsive, spur-of-the-moment decisions, it ended up being a wonderful experience.
Did you kind of feel cathartic about it and you slept finally? It was out there? I mean, when you tell people your most feared vulnerabilities, then what can they do?
Well, I did. I think I dedicate the book to Denise because I say she helped make my life whole again at the age of 50. And I think once I found myself and once I came out, once I dealt with the traumas of the assaults, a huge weight was off my shoulders. And yes, I'm finally sleeping. I sleep like a baby now. It's unbelievable. But I say in the book very openly that I lived for years not sleeping half the night, having to deal with, sleeping pills to get me through the night. And I have to say to people out there, if you're dealing with things like that, my goodness, and you can't sleep, it's all connected. And boy, did I find that out.
You've given Denise a lot of credit even so far in this interview. How did you meet?
On a story. And, I literally walked up her driveway. She was having problems with City Hall. I was a columnist, of course, covering City Hall for a number of years. I think it was my 18th year of journalism, and it was 2006. And I had been at City Hall from 1998. Never had this ever happened to me. I got a call from her lawyer. The lawyer said, I've got a perfect story for you, represents everything that's wrong with City Hall. And it was about a driveway, widened driveway that was about to be taken away for no particular reason other than her neighbor and her counselor had kind of conspired behind the scenes. So I did her story. I walked up the driveway and I did a pre-interview with her. There was a huge connection, a lot of chemistry. And as I'm driving up to the interview, I'm thinking, oh, please let her be fat and ugly. And the reason we found out that we were both gay is that I asked her why she felt this would have happened. And she said it was off the record. She even knew the lingo. Don't tell anybody, but I think it's because I've been living with a woman. And I told her, if it makes you feel better, I'm Jewish and gay too.
So there you go.
Yeah.
So tell us about the book, where people can get it.
It's on the shelves at Indigo Chapters throughout Toronto and the GTA and on Amazon. And I just want to invite any of your listeners. I have a number of book signings. September is going to be an extremely busy month. Mm-hmm. 2 at Tosto Restaurants on September 16th, the owner being also gay and Jewish and and conservative. My goodness.
Triple whammy.
And 14th at Hart House, doing one for my readers. It will be a very interesting month.
Well, thank you very much for coming in and telling us all about it, and we wish you good luck. You said covering politics was always like a salmon swimming upstream, but you seem like you're a pretty strong swimmer.
Oh, thank you. I am actually a strong swimmer.
Yeah. After the break, realtor turned author Christine Denty with a book geared to the growing number of women buying real estate solo. This is what she said on The Jewel. Stay with us.
She might just change